Hello, and thank you for joining me again for another session related to Sage 100 reporting options. Today we're going to be talking about Business Insights Explorer. This is session number 2, and we're going to be looking at how to configure the secondary grid, and we'll look at a few tips and tricks. What we'll learn exactly is how to access the secondary grid, adding fields from other tables to the secondary grid, adding a calculated field, setting the data to show different colors, and setting and saving that data as a default view for future use. Let's jump into the product demonstration. We're going to start by having the main options menus for Sage 100, and we're going to use the Business Insights Explorer view. So you open up the Explorer and you'll go to the Customer History Invoices view. And from this view you can again look at the headers of the invoice. So this is all the main information on each invoice. And then down below here, as we walk through and click on each different header, you can see that that data down below is changing. So how do you access the data down below and do some reporting on that specifically? If you come down here and you highlight one of the rows and you tell it you want to either drill into the preview or open the preview, you can hop in here and see all of the raw data from all the lines on all the invoices in your system. If you wanted to group these, you can group it by item number very easily by just dragging it up to the top. You could group by warehouse, by description, quantities, whatever you wanted to group by. So let's again, just as a reminder, add some grouping fields for doing sums. This will give you the totals right on the screen. And next, let's do a grand total at the bottom. And we're going to right click in there and we're going to be able to see the totals right on the screen. And then if you total, or you want to total the count for each one of these groupings, you can right click anywhere and it's going to give you a count. Very simple, all screen related. So next, if we want to add some additional fields in here, as a reminder, at the top part, if you click on the column, any column header, and click on column settings, I'm going to add, and let's add the invoice date for starters, and then secondarily let's add from the detail, let's go down and add the unit cost so that we can do some calculations. I'm going to say OK, and now I've got the date field over here. I'm going to slide that over to the very front, and we should have the cost over there too. I'm going to remove the commission option. I'm going to just slide it off the screen, and I'm going to get rid of the tax class. And now I've got the unit cost over here. So what I'm going to next do, well, I'm going to move the comment to just for this particular exercise. So we've got the cost and we've got the units that were shipped, but we don't know what that extended cost would be. So let's add a calculated field. I'm going to do a right click again up here on any one of the headers, column setting, and I'm going to do a calculated field. And I'm going to call this the extended cost. And now what I'm going to do is take and add from the tables, from my detail, I'm going to add the quantity shipped, and we might have cost here. Let's take the cost. Double click on that, and we're going to use an operand of times, and let's find the quantity shipped. I'm going to say OK for that. So now I'm going to have a calculated field that's going to take and extend out that cost. And I've created that field and used the data that's in this file. So the next thing you could do is you could actually add another calculated field and take the extension less the cost, and you'd have your gross profit. You could have that showing on the screen as well. So next, we're going to take a quick look at how to change the colors on the screen. So if we look at, let's take our unit price. And if we wanted to use column level formatting and we wanted anything that was negative to show up in red, I can just highlight the negative part here, right click on it, and give it a color. So now if there was anything that was going to be negative, it would show up in red. Don't happen to have any negatives here, no credit memos, so nothing is showing up in red, but easily can change the colors. You've got blue, you've got a number of options there, yellow, but that makes it a little more explicit when you're looking at something that's negative. So that's the basics on setting up the secondary grid. The next thing that I'm going to do is go over to my file, and I'm going to save this setting as, I'm going to call this just number 2 view. So now we see that up here, this is number 2 view. And I can also take this now and save this as my default setting for all users or just for me. So if I change this and set this as the default user, it's always going to pop up there first instead of the standard. So let's just save that again. And let's close out of there. And now you'll see when we launch this, I'm going to drill back into here from scratch. And if we go down into the preview, you can see that it defaulted to my view here, which is great because that's exactly what we were looking for. So lastly, it just as a reminder, you can export this information out to Excel. It won't include the subtotals because those are just based on what's on the screen, but the detail will come out exactly like you've got it formatted and in this order. So thank you so much for joining me again today, and if there are any questions, please feel free to contact me at sdunn@microaccountingsolutions.com, or I'm sorry, sdunn@microaccounting.com, and look forward to showing you the next in our series of reporting options.